defence counter-attacking team, and that ensures against slumps and poor form. They weren't good against Meath and they weren't good against Wexford, but they won both games. And very tellingly, I thought last year in the All-Ireland final, when Kerry looked brilliant in the first half at times and looked potentially as if they could really go to town, Dublin's defence held them to 1-2 in the whole first half, which means that they've become a very difficult team to beat, which makes Laois's task today, I think, virtually impossible.
Colin?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Dublin played for as long as they wanted to in the Leinster final, and they became a bit complacent and let Meath back into it at the end. And from Pat Gilroy's point of view, I think it was probably the best thing that ever happened, because even the body language of the Dublin players after the Leinster final signified a team who were happy enough to win, but not very happy with the way they allowed Meath to come back at them in the end of that game. So I think that Dublin will be a bit more fired up for this one. Remember, last year it was in the quarter-final where they really started their run against Tyrone, when they put on a great display here, and I think that they will be really wound up for this.
Maloney.
Here's Owen O'Gara, some early sorting out in Croke Park. Diarmuid Connolly, Michael Darragh Macauley was screaming for that. Connolly ran into traffic. Now it's Paul Flynn looking for the first point in this quarter-final, and it goes over off the bar. But Dublin take the lead in the 5th minute.
Well, that time Flynn just settles things down beautifully, takes the responsibility, and calmly gets a very good opening score for Dublin.
Gary Walsh now involved. Very tight, Dublin massing their defence around. The free man is Ross Munnelly. Who's picking up Ross Munnelly? Nobody from Dublin. Munnelly steadies down, and that's a corker from Ross Munnelly. They were patient and precise, and Laois go in front in the 7th minute.
They stayed out of traffic, stayed loose, took the ball and just slotted over the bar. Great score for Laois.
It brings about an instant reaction from Dublin. Diarmuid Connolly for Bernard Brogan. He's got acres of space from Healy. Brogan! Over the bar for the point. There was half a goal chance there, but that was quite a response. 2 each. Brogan opening his account already.
Yeah, wonderfully weighted ball, it must be said, from Connolly into Brogan, and Brogan just allowed the ball to drift beyond his body. Just watch it. As a consequence of that, Healy was taken completely out of the play. He did the right thing, I suppose, put it over the bar. Good goalkeeping actually by Culliton to narrow.
So, knows them very well, and Munnelly missed the free not so long ago, but makes no mistake there, and Laois 60 seconds ago was in at right corner forward, now at left half forward for Laois. Plenty of movement from the Laois forwards, and Colin Kelly, his persistence paying off. Then he's bottled up and put under serious pressure, but they fouled him, and Laois have got a free in. They lead by 1. I won't be bothered by the whistles or the boos. Angle a little more difficult for Colin Kelly. Very deliberate free-taking style, and he's Culliton getting huge distance on the kick, and a great catch from Fennell. Didn't have to rise that high. It was Padraig Clancy who was behind him. His St Vincent's clubmate is Diarmuid Connolly. They combine again. Michael Darragh Macauley breaks the tackles as if they weren't there and shovels the ball out to Paul Flynn, who got Dublin's first point. Diarmuid Connolly involved again. And now Dennis Bastick. And Bastick has slotted that one over. A very fine point, all from the catch from Fennell, the combination from Connolly, and the finish from that guy.
Yeah, Fennell was involved twice in that. Connolly again was involved in it, but I love the way the score came that time, I think, eventually from Dennis Bastick. He didn't even look at the final destination of it. Just watch the fielding that time. I think that's Fennell's.
Surrounded, 4 Dublin players around him, and he held onto it too long. There was panic there as he spotted those sky blue shirts surrounding him. Keane O'Sullivan, Paul Flynn. Pace of the thing is lifting now, and that has to be precise, and it is for Bernard Brogan. Healy there with it, saved by Culliton. Brogan is claiming he was dragged down. He may have a case, but the referee waved it away, and there was no power in the shot in the end, and it was an easy save for Owen Culliton. Pass in was stunning.
And the
Boyle, Billy Sheehan goes around Nolan, and then Fennell is there to tackle him. Gary Walsh for Laois. Great point. Really, really good point.
Yeah, that's a lovely bit of combination again. I was just saying to myself, why isn't Sheehan shooting? Maybe he doesn't kind of have confidence in his shot.
And Bernard Brogan puts that over. Here come Laois, Billy Sheehan. Dublin kicking a fair bit of ball away. Conor Boyle waiting for the cavalry to arrive. Brendan Quigley putting huge distance on that. Sits up for Pádraig Clancy. Couldn't do an awful lot with it, and Clancy capitalising after the mistake. Now it's Colin Begley. Begley trying to hold on to that brilliant point. Really fine score from Colin Begley.
Yeah,
from the sideline ball over on the far side, which they made a mess of. Laois do this.
That's right, and just credit Clancy that time, following a lost cause, kept it in play, give it to Begley, great score.
Laois by 5-4. Again, Dublin try and react. Owen O'Gara foul. No further action against him, and Bernard Brogan has got 1 free already, and there's 2. And Dublin have been playing catch-up since Paul Flynn scored the first point of the match. Cluxton has missed 1 free already. That's his favourite side, and kicking into his favourite goal too. With Fitzsimons again, the bounce was a bit on the tricky side, but he dealt with it, and Rory O'Carroll has touched that on the ground, so a free. Over it goes. Colin Begley dispossessed by Paul Flynn. Time for him to size up his options. Michael Dara Macauley. Bernard Brogan closest to goal. Owen O'Gara looking for it, and it's gone through to O'Gara. Was that a dodgy hand pass? No, it wasn't. There's Michael Dara Macauley for Dublin. Still going, the midfielder. Gone into the back of the net. The goal is given. The goal is given.
Yes, the reason it is given is because it has come off a Laois defender. That was wonderful play originally by Paul Flynn, then by O'Gara. Finally, just watch the Macauley, Michael Darren Macauley. It came off a Laois defender, and as a consequence, like normally you cannot punch a ball directly into the net, but the fact that it took a deflection, it means that the goal has to be allowed.
Was it Conor Boyle, the unfortunate Laois player who... No, it was John O'Loughlin.
It was John O'Loughlin actually trying to get back, actually executing.
Darren Strong with the free for Laois. Last attack of the first half, and Clancy's out looking for it again. Couldn't hang on to it. It's knocked down for Walsh. Gary Walsh for Laois. The last attack of the first half, and they get the point to bring them back to within 2. That's the first score after the goal, which was in the 27th minute.
And Colin O'Rourke are here with me in the studio. And I think it's fair to say, Colin O'Rourke, that anybody who thought this game would be over at half-time, well, it sure ain't.
Yeah, well, Laois have set out their stall to try and cut down on the Dublin attacking opportunities. They've withdrawn Damien O'Connor to play as an extra back and leaving John O'Loughlin as a free man. So they've 7 backs trying to control the Dublin forwards. And of course, that means limited opportunities for them up front. Of 3 of their points from play, 4 from frees. But it's gone well for Laois. They have held Dublin well, even though Bernard Brogan to me hasn't been playing particularly well, but he presents a clear and ever-present danger of a goal, because I don't think Healy is going to be able to hold him. But I think Justin McNulty and the Laois players will go in, and they'll be fairly happy with the position they're in at the moment. The big worry was that they would give away a goal early on, to give it away late on, but if they had to give away a goal early on, they could have opened the floodgates. As it is, the game is still up there for grabs.
It is. That Dublin goal is the difference between the 2 sides. Well, there's 2 points in it at half-time. And they would consider themselves maybe a little bit unfortunate to giving this goal away, because they were trying to defend it and actually helped it in.
It was very unfortunate. Laois have been very tidy, very composed, very relaxed, playing without any pressure. And Dublin are in the game because they're so workmanlike. They've become so workmanlike over the last couple of years under Gilroy. Their work rate is enormous, even though they're not playing well, and they're clearly not clicking at all. Their big problem has been that Bernard Brogan is having one of those Wexford type days again, otherwise the Dubs would have been out of sight. I mean, it was a very fortunate goal, and at that stage I was thinking to myself, look, if Laois can stay within a point of the Dubs and keep, you know, sort of point for point, the Dubs aren't going to have a platform to push on, and it's going to increase Dublin's anxiety.
But if the ball, if John O'Loughlin didn't put that ball in, you know, if you see that from another angle. You see Dennis Bastick is completely unmarked on the other side. Aye. And this is something that he's become very good at, ghosting into a position.
Cluxton. It was drifting, but it held its line and it's gone over. First point of the second half. His second of the game, Stephen Cluxton. A goal to make a substitution. Here's Cullen Kelly of Laois. He's given that absolutely everything, and it was worth it because it's gone over. That's their first of the second half. And the Dublin lead trimmed to 2. Loughlin involved again, ran into trouble, ran into Dennis Bastick. And Laois with players out of position. Bernard Brogan almost playing as centre-half back for Dublin. Now Keane O'Sullivan, he is one of the half-backs. O'Gara is in front of him. Popped back to Paul Flynn. He scored earlier in the first half for Dublin, and he knows where the post is, and he knows when he gets in front of them how to slot the ball over.
Yeah, that's a lovely score that time. It must be said that there was great support play given to him by Keane O'Sullivan. Just watch O'Sullivan coming forward, spots the angle, and I think it's Flynn who shoots it over the bar. That's beautifully struck. But some of the play at the moment, just going back a couple of moments.
16, that is what he's facing. All sorts of booing and jeering. And there's only one way to silence that, which he's done. 2 in it again.
Haven't seen much of this Colm Kelly lad, but certainly from the point of view of winning the ball, you can't fault him. You can't very, into a good defensive position. But just watch it. Like, that's an unnecessary foul to concede.
To bring them back to within 1. 2 points for either side since the second half restarted. Huge noise against Ross Munnelly, but he's up to the task. Now the Laois substitutions on the line to get his hands on the ball. We're in the final 20 minutes. Paul Flynn. Padraig McMahon in front of him, the new man in for Laois. And that's fired in towards Owen O'Gara. Great ball, brilliant pace on it. O'Gara has yet to score in this match for Dublin. Turns back around. That's very high, and it's over. Tricky one for the umpires and indeed for us to see. And you're not sure, no?
I'm not sure. It certainly looked as if it was going over the bar. It was hit very high. O'Gara had to take the responsibility because he had very little support there. That's very hard to judge, but in fairness to the umpire on the far side, the guy with the white flag, he was in line with it and felt that the score was valid. Or for Bernard Brogan, I should say.
3 points he's got in the match. Bernard Brogan has slotted that over. The booing and stuff is louder than I remember it at any stage in the match. Heading into the final 10 minutes. MJ Tierney has put that over. His Tarnell's clubmate. Watch that sail over his head. Stephen Cluxton.
This is a big one.
It's an idea of what he's facing. Under 7 minutes to go. Kept the head down as he struck that, but he's put it wide. So as we head into the final 5 minutes, the Dubs have that 2-point lead, but it doesn't feel that way. Brennan. Kevin McManamon. And Kevin Nolan staying forward. He knows how to score as well. Nolan for Dublin, and he's put that over. Finally they get the score. Their first in 6 minutes, and it's come from the centre-back Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, that was a patient bit of play, and fair play to Kevin Nolan. Came up from the back, came through. I thought he was going to go for a goal for a moment, but just had a wild swipe of it and went.
His last one barely cleared the crossbar. More air on it this time from Tierney, and he's put it over.